Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Okay. So in the last class, basically we did virtual user generated scripts, and today we're going to look at how to create the scenarios. Okay, I'm going to open the existing scripts. So let's look at the scenarios. Okay, so these are the scenarios. Basically we did the scripting part, and now we are going to look at the controller, how to run the scenario with multiple users. Okay, say this is the script that we created for login, right? So we did this part, the scripting part, and now we're going to look at the controller. So you can navigate to the controller from the virtual user generator itself. You can go to tools and then select create controller scenario. Okay, you can select this menu, and now it's going to give you, this is the startup window, and here there are two different options. One is goal oriented scenario, the other one is the manual scenario, right? So what's the difference between these two scenarios? We did that before. The manual scenario is basically you're going to define the number of users, like how many users you want to test with. It's basically number of users versus the response time. So if you apply say 10 users, then what's the response time? That's pretty much a manual scenario. So if you look at here, this is a manual scenario, and later we're going to look at the goal oriented scenario, because most of the time we are going to test with the manual scenarios. So that's where here you're going to provide the number of users, because you're going to define the number of users as per the scenario what the business analyst says, right? So here this scenario says we want to test this particular load test scenario using 10 users. So that's where you're going to provide the input 10, the number of users. Okay, and the local generator is nothing but a machine from where you are trying to apply a load of 10 users on the application. Okay, load generator is a system from where we are trying to apply the number of users on the application. Just in the name itself says, right, load generator is going to generate the load. So that's why you're going to provide here the load generator system name. By default it is a local host. Local host is nothing but your system. Okay, local host is your system. And then this is anyway the group name. By default it's going to take the login, the script name. That means this group is having 10 users. And this is the results location where it's going to store the results at the end of scenario execution. Okay, so once again, this is a manual scenario where you're going to define the number of users, and this is the localhost is the system, your local system. That's from where you are trying to apply a load of 10 users, and this is a group name. By default it's going to take the script name, and this group is having 10 users, and this is the results location. At the end of the scenario execution, it's going to store the results at this location. Okay, and then click OK. So that is going to open the controller. Okay, so sometimes you will get this video because the LoadRunner itself is going to take some memory. So you just simply click on switch to that is going to start the controller. Okay, so this is the controller environment. There you will have 3 different tabs: design, run, and first you are going to design the scenario. Okay, so we are in the design tab to design the scenario. So the first thing in the controller, we're going to look at scenario and select load generators. Okay, under scenario, select load generators, and you see by default the load generator machine is down, right? So you have to make this system ready to execute the scenario. All you have to do is select the system and then click on this connect button, so that it changes the status from down to ready now. Okay, just you have to make sure the load generator machine should be ready to execute the scenario. Okay, so for this you have to go to scenario, load generators, select the machine and click on this connect button. Okay, so once the generator machine is ready to execute the scenario, the next part is here global schedule. See, here there are 3 different sections: start users, duration and stop users. Okay, so basically remember we are talking about the types of testing, right? See, so I think in the initial class we did these types of testing, like the load test, stress test and capacity test. So depends on what type of testing you're doing, you're going to select different options here under global schedule. So for example, if you select, say, if you double click on the start users, then you will get 2 different options, right? So what we learn in the load test, test an application with requested number of users. It's nothing but with requested number of concurrent users, because you are going to test the application with multiple users at the same time. So that's what you are going to provide here: simultaneous. At the same time, concurrent users means simultaneously. So when you are doing load testing, you want to apply a load of 10 users at the same time, then you are going to select the first option, because you want to apply all 10 users at the same time on the application, right? Simultaneous users, and then click OK. When you look at the graph, you see at the same time all 10 users. All 10 users at the same time they are going to apply on the application. Whereas if you look at, again, if you double click on the start users, we select the second option, then what it says, one virtual user every minute, every 1 minute. This is nothing but a ramp up scenario. For example, if you do this, you see the graph. At the beginning, one user, and then after 1 minute, another user. After 1 minute, another user. That means you are gradually increasing the load on the application. This is a ramp up scenario. Where this ramp up scenario is useful? When you do this capacity test. Because you want to gradually increase the load on the application and see where the application will break, where the application will crash. Right? That's a ramp up scenario. And also you have the stress test. That means you want to run the test for a period of time. Okay, I want to run this test for a specific period of time. That's where you're going to select the duration. You see the duration, if you double click on it, and then this is where you're going to say, hey, how long you want to run this scenario. You want to run this scenario for 7 days, or you want to run this scenario for 30 days. That's where you're going to provide here how long, the duration. Okay. So anyway, like we are going to do this scenario, right? So 10 users, that means pretty much you want to apply all these 10 users at the same time. That's where you're going to select here, start users simultaneously. Okay, start all 10 users simultaneously. And also the duration, I'm going to select run until completion. Run until completion means what? All 10 users are going to run and they perform their jobs and then they're going to complete. Okay, run until completion means all 10 users has to complete their job. So you're going to select run until completion and click OK. So it gives you a confirmation. Do you want to make these changes? Say yes. And now you're going to say you're all set with this global schedule. Now go to the scenario schedule, and here you see there is a clock. So click on this button. There's a clock. Okay, so this is a scenario start time, and then there are 3 different options: without delay, with a delay of, and then at source time. Basically, you can also schedule the scenario. Suppose you want to run the scenario at midnight. Right? Sometimes the business analyst is going to say, hey, can you run this scenario tonight? And then tell me the result. Because you want to look at how the application is doing during that time, right? So that's where you can also schedule the scenario. So for example, here there is second option, and here you can select on which date you want to run this scenario and then what time. That way you can also schedule the scenario. So the scenario will be triggered and then it gets executed on the date and on the time. Okay. So without delay means you want to run this scenario straight away without any delay. Okay. So you're going to select these options. So in the design part, first you have to make sure load generated machine should be ready. So load generated machine should be ready. This is the first thing. And the second thing, go to the global schedule. Depends on the type of test you are doing. Double click on the start users and then select simultaneous option, and then the duration, run until completion, and then this clock without any delay because we want to run the scenario straight away. Okay, so this is part of the design scenario. So please open and then do these settings, and then we're going to run the scenario. And let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So once this scenario is executed, the design part is done, and now let's go to the Run tab and then try to execute this scenario. So click on this Run tab, and then these are basically called the monitors. So basically the monitors are nothing but they are useful to monitor how the scenario is executing. It's going to create the dynamic graphs. Okay, we're executing the scenario. Okay, monitors are nothing but the dynamic graphs created while executing the scenario. So these are basically called the monitors. You can control these graphs if you right click and then select say view graphs, and then you see you can generate 1, 2 or 8 graphs. Suppose if you select say one graph, it's going to generate a big graph. So this is basically the number of users versus their uptime. So what this graph is going to tell you is how the scenarios are executed, how the number of users are trying to hit the application over a period of time. So basically you can select, here you can select the number of graphs how you want to display, right? So if you select 2 graphs, it's going to display different results here, right? So let's select one graph, and now, so you see, now we are going to test the application with 10 users and then see how it's performing. Okay, so I think pretty much that is it, and then you're going to start executing the scenario. So click on the Start Scenario button, and then you can sit back and then the scenario gets executed, and at the end of the execution you do the analysis. Okay, you see now all 10 users are trying to run. See? Seems like there is some problem. There are some errors. Okay, let's see what's the problem. There are 6 users passed and there are 4 users failed. Let's see why those failed. See, basically like whenever you execute the scenario, you see this is basically the graph, and then now you see there are passed transactions 26, failed transactions are 4, there are some errors. So mainly we're going to look at these errors. So what kind of errors? Because there are 4 users that are failed, there are 6 users that is passed, right? And click on this errors link. Now it's going to show you what kind of errors in this scenario. Okay, it seems like there is some problem. It says like you see, fail to connect to the server. This is your application server, right? So it's failed to connect. Maybe sometimes what happens is because of some networking issues or something. So you will get this kind of errors whenever you run the scenario. So fail to connect to the server. All you have to do is you have to re-execute the scenario.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2K Infosys.com. On our website H2K Infosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.